If you're injured at work in Pennsylvania, Borjeson Legal Group can help you by giving you advice on how to present your claim, and then if the claim is denied, by representing you in a workers' compensation case to get your claim granted, to get the benefits that you're entitled to, both wage loss and medical, to address your injury. At Borjeson Legal Group, we can help you get the benefits that you need to get better and put your life back on track. We can get your medical bills for the work injury paid. We can get lost wages for the time you're out. We can get a lump sum settlement to try to transition you to a new job and a new career. In Pennsylvania, every employer is required to have workers' compensation insurance to cover their employees when they're injured on the job in the course of their employment. The Workers' Compensation Act provides that there will be wage loss for the time that you're out of work, and for the work injuries that the medical bills will be paid until you recover. In Pennsylvania workers' compensation, the first step is to get the worker on compensation. That involves filing a claim petition to prove that they were injured at work, and because of the injury they can't work. Then, once someone's on workers' compensation, we work to keep them on as long as they need to be, as long as they need treatment, and then to get a settlement for them to try to transition them out of workers' comp and into a new occupation, or to get additional schooling. At Borjeson Legal Group, we've helped injured workers from many different occupations, teachers, and especially teachers where their children have special needs, nurses, EMT professionals, police officers, construction workers, drivers that are in motor vehicle accidents, bus drivers or other types of drivers, and then further, a lot of construction workers. Construction work is dangerous and people are often injured. We handle people who have had falls, lifting incidents, things falling on them with every injury from traumatic head injury to neck, back, shoulders, knees, foot and ankle injuries. If you're injured on the job, you must immediately report the injury to your supervisor. If there is a written notice form, you should absolutely fill that out. The best case scenario for you is to have your claim accepted without having to go to court. But if you do not report your injury to your supervisor, your claim could be completely barred and you might receive nothing. If you're a part-time or seasonal worker, Borjeson Legal Group can absolutely help you get the workers' compensation benefits you're entitled to, both wage loss and medical, for your work injury. At Borjeson Legal Group, we handle essentially every type of injury there is, from orthopedic injuries, neck, back, to shoulders, elbows, knees, carpal tunnel. We help people with when their injury causes emotional problems, where they might have depression or post-traumatic stress from the work injury. We also handle people who have concussion and neurological symptoms from either a work accident or potentially an assault. At Borjeson Legal Group, we've represented many union workers from all different unions, from dock workers to construction union to nurses with unions. And we've had great success with those cases. Those are typically good cases, and it's very important for the union worker to report the injury and document it as soon as possible after it occurs. Some of the more common work injuries include people who slip on a slippery substance or trip and fall, and those are work injuries that need to be accepted under the Workers' Comp Act, and we handle many of those type of injuries, typically orthopedic injuries, but also sometimes a neurologic problem or a post-concussion syndrome if someone has a head trauma from the accident.
Okay.
The most common occupational disease claims are exposure to chemicals, but also importantly exposure to asbestos. There were a lot of those claims for a lot of years. They're reducing in number, but we do handle people who have a disease related to their employment. Okay. At Borjeson Legal Group, we handle every type of accident. Commonly, an accident will be a fall at work, potentially outside on the ice or snow, or inside on a substance on the floor. Sometimes people are injured driving a vehicle for their employment, and we help them get workers' compensation with regard to that vehicle accident. Sometimes there's an altercation with a co-employee that can cause a work injury, and we absolutely help people recover under those circumstances. And finally, several cases, especially recently, have involved nurses or healthcare workers who are injured lifting patients, helping patients transfer from the bed to chairs, and assaulted by patients. Borjeson Legal Group, probably the majority of the injuries that we help people with include back and neck injuries from falls, from accidents, from assaults. It's very common. The neck especially is very delicate and prone to injury. In Pennsylvania workers' compensation, Borjeson Legal Group can help you receive the total disability benefits you're entitled to from when you're completely unable to work and you're not working at all. Additionally, if you are back to work but not making what you were before you were hurt, we can help you receive the partial disability, which is essentially the difference what you were making before you were hurt and what you're making presently. Usually, cases end through a settlement or a resolution of the case. I personally negotiate a resolution with an insurance company adjuster or an attorney after an extensive consultation with my client to discuss the pros and cons of resolution, as well as the amount of benefits that can be expected under the circumstances of their claim. The most important being how severe is the injury and how much were they making at the time the accident took place. At Borjeson Legal Group, I handle workers' compensation cases from all different employers across multiple industries, from a small 1 or 2 person company all the way through large companies like Federal Express, Walmart, or the various hospitals or universities that are in Philadelphia and the surrounding area. You will be dealing directly with me. I have 30 years of experience. I'm certified as an expert in Pennsylvania workers' compensation, and I will be your contact, and I will be personally handling every hearing deposition that's possible for me to attend. I will not be handing the case off to less experienced attorneys. If you hire Borjeson Legal Group, you will be hiring me to help you with your workers' comp case. Borjeson Legal Group, we've had multiple cases where the employer does not have insurance as they're required to by the law. The law further has set up what's called the Uninsured Employer Guarantee Fund to step in the shoes of an insurance company when an employer has no insurance. We have pursued and had successful claims against the UEGF, and I would be happy to help you in a situation where the employer has no insurance. It's common for a workers' compensation carrier to deny the claim when it's first presented by the employer or the employee. That's when you need to hire an attorney. That's when you need to call me at Borjeson Legal Group to discuss the case, to arrange a meeting, and then to file the claim petition needed to get you your benefits. All right, so that's one. And then if you've been represented by another attorney and you've lost your case, it's very difficult to win on appeal. But if you contact me, I'd be happy to set up a meeting, review the decision that's come through, and advise whether appealing is something that's going to potentially be successful. Okay. If you're concerned about the fact that you had a prior injury or a prior workers' comp case for the same part of the body, for instance, if you had a back injury and now you have another one, please be advised you do not have to worry. Pennsylvania makes sure that prior injuries that are worsened or exacerbated by an accident are covered under the Workers' Comp Act. At Borjeson Legal Group, I've represented multiple people who have complex regional pain syndrome, a very severe condition, extraordinarily painful, and at times hard to prove because there's no x-ray or test that can show conclusively that you have that condition. I'm familiar with the network of doctors who can provide the very expensive and difficult treatment to help speed recovery from that condition. At times, that complex regional pain syndrome becomes so severe that a person could receive loss of use of a limb for the complex regional pain syndrome from a work injury. Complex regional pain syndrome comes from multiple causes, and although it's very painful, it can also be very difficult to prove. And therefore, it's important that you find an attorney who's handled these cases and is familiar with that condition. I've handled multiple cases involving emotional or mental symptoms, including post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety disorder. When it's connected with a work injury, a physical injury, it's just like any other type of claim. But when it's on its own with no physical injury, it can be more difficult. But I have handled multiple successful cases where there was no physical injury and there was only a severe traumatic event or severe harassment that led to the mental injury. I've handled multiple cases on those lines and had successful results. In Pennsylvania, you must be in the course of employment to have receive workers' compensation benefits, and that can be a difficult problem. Typically, someone who's commuting to and from their job are determined not to be in the course of employment. However, there are circumstances where they are in the course of their employment and can receive workers' compensation benefits for the accident that occurs on the way to or from the job. At Borjeson Legal Group, we handle people who've had repetitive stress injuries, repetitive trauma. The most common being a worker who has carpal tunnel syndrome from machine tools, from road working, from typing, and those are actually very easy cases to bring to a successful conclusion. There's tests that can show you have it. There's doctors who will testify that the trauma caused the condition, and we've had many of those cases and a lot of success. I work with multiple paralegals who are native Spanish speakers so that any issues that come up with the Spanish-speaking population are easily addressed. As far as undocumented workers, Pennsylvania law is difficult for them. There's no issue as far as getting wage loss or what's called specific loss benefits, where they lose the use of a body part. But wage loss benefits are more difficult, and I work with immigration attorneys to try to help get the proper documentation so we can pursue those benefits for undocumented workers. At the Borjeson Legal Group, we handle workers' comp claims on a contingency fee basis. That means that we only get paid if you get paid. All right, how about, my name is Eric Borjeson. If you have been injured at work, contact me at Borjeson Legal Group. I handle cases on a contingency fee basis. I will meet with you and pursue your claim aggressively, get you the best possible result. Yeah. Please contact me at 215-772-3020 to discuss your claim and to protect your rights under the Act.